Bergh was born on August 29, 1811, in New York City. He was known as a diplomat, philanthropist, and founder for both the animal and child protection movements in the United States. His father was Christian Bergh, a successful shipbuilder. His mother, Elizabeth Ivers Bergh, was kind and had a caring demeanor. He had a brother, Edwin, and a sister, Jane. His family grew up in a modest suburb in the Lower East Side of Manhattan. In 1834, Henry went to Columbia College, but left before earning his degree. He joined his father and brother in the shipbuilding business. He and his brother ran the business until 1843, then it was sold, and that left him with enough money that he did not necessarily need to work. Henry married Catherine Matilda Taylor. They loved to travel and attend show plays. Henry also wrote several plays of his own. However, only one was brought to the stage and then received mediocre reviews. In 1847, Henry and his wife spent 3 years living in Europe, where Henry kept extensive diaries about his travels. While living in Europe, the Berghs attended a bullfight, and they were both appalled by the blood and death that was on display. Upon returning to America, Henry was appointed by President Abraham Lincoln as a legislation secretary for the American delegation to Russia. While in that position, Henry had the opportunity for many short trips, and on one of those trips, he witnessed a peasant beating a carriage horse, and he demanded that peasant to stop treating the horse as such. Being an advocate for animals after resigning his position and returning to the United States, Bergh traveled abroad to England, where he met with Earl of Harrowby, the president of the Royal Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, where he got to know how that business operated in England. When returning to New York, Henry began to create and lobby for the Society for the Prevention of Animal Cruelty. And on April 10, 1866, New York legislatures granted a charter for the formation of the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. And 9 days later, the legislature passed an admitted law for the prevention of cruelty to animals. Henry Bergh became president of the ASPCA. In 1874, Henry Bergh was approached by social worker Etta Wheeler, and because of Bergh's reputation for protecting helpless creatures, she asked him to help her rescue a child by the name of Mary Ellen. Mary Ellen was beaten and abused by her foster mother. Henry Bergh was moved by Wheeler's story and contacted his attorney, a well-known inventive attorney. He petitioned the court to remove Mary Ellen from the home and charges be brought against her caregiver. The case became a foundation of the child protection movement and to form the New York Society for the Prevention of Child Cruelty in 1874. Mary Ellen went on to live a long, full life and died at the age of 92. There was another case of child abuse that Henry Bergh was involved with before Mary Ellen. This was the case of little Emily Thompson. In June 1871, a woman came to see Bergh in regards to little Emily, who was being abused by her caregivers. She could see this abuse happening through her windows and was able to see the child being beaten. At that time, Emily was removed from the abusive caregiver and went before the judge. The judge could see bruises on the child. It was reported to the court that Emily had no other living relatives. Even though the court found abuse, Emily was sent back home to live with her caregiver, which left Henry Bergh with a heavy heart. This case made the papers. In the Brooklyn Eagle on June 19, 1971, Emily's grandmother saw this article in the paper. She traveled from New Jersey to New York and went before the judge, and little Emily was returned to her grandmother and was able to live safely with relatives. Even though Emily Thompson's story did not create change for child abuse victims, Mary Ellen's case did, and Henry Bergh was the forerunner in causing that to happen in 1874 with the New York Society for the Prevention of Child Cruelty. Upon the creation of that society, within a few years, many large cities had similar organizations that helped protect children. Courts gave quasi-judicial power to remove children from homes that were deemed unfit and place them into foster homes or in children's institutions such as orphanages. The society helped rescue thousands of battered children. Shelters were created to care for them and helped in instituting laws that punished abusive parents. Most of the early societies for the prevention of child cruelty made little or no efforts to help rehabilitate parents. It was believed that parents that abused their children were characterologically deficient and therefore beyond help, so services were not provided to families during this time. In late 1887, Henry Bergh became bedridden. This happened during a massive blizzard, and when the doctor was called to his bedside, he was not able to reach him due to the deep snow. When the doctor finally arrived, Henry Bergh was near death, and Henry Bergh passed away on March 12, 1888. He was laid to rest at the Greenwood Cemetery in Brooklyn beside his wife Catherine, who passed years earlier. In 1891, a statue in the likeness of Henry Bergh was placed at the Wisconsin Humane Society. In 1941, a circular plaque was added in honor of the 50-year anniversary for the dedication of the statue. The statue stands 99 feet tall and is still there. This is the article that was ran in the New York Times the day after Henry Bergh passed away. Henry Bergh was a philanthropist, the great meddler who made change for abused animals and children. Henry Bergh's advocacy helped end some of the abuse suffered by animals and children, and helped how society saw violence against animals and children. His work continues to positively influence attitudes today.